Put that coffee down.
I'm not here to waste your time, okay? I certainly hope you're not here to waste mine. So I'm gonna keep this short.
Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman.
Most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
Coffee's for closers only.
Well, hello there, friend. Welcome back to the Behind Your Back podcast with me, Bradley Hartman, founder and CEO of the Behind Your Back Sales Company. This podcast, we talk about leadership, personal productivity, and selling in the construction industry. And selling is what we're talking about here today. The down and dirty, really tactical ways to dominate in your market as I talk to one of the funniest people I know. She's funny, she's smart, she's great to talk to. I'm thrilled to share this conversation with one Jenn Morgan. But first, let's thank our sponsors. I'd like to thank Boise Cascade Engineered Wood Products. They help you move faster and build stronger. They make it easier to get more done. And our friends at Materials Exchange. They're LBM Industries' answer to E-Trade. Materials Exchange is your digital marketplace for lumber and panels. I was recently talking to a friend and an avid listener, and they said, you got to be careful. You got to make sure you have people on who are the boots on the ground, who are doing the actual selling, and not the people, not the leaders, the people who are up higher in the food chain, who are one step removed, because sometimes I question if they truly know what it's like. And I said, well, my friend, you are in luck, because this podcast is here. This episode is here with one Jenn Morgan, and she is the epitome of what it takes to dominate your market. She has endless enthusiasm, and she's constantly thinking about long-term value, how she can help, how she can be useful. And this is a story about someone who became a general manager. Like many of us, she kind of fell into this industry, became a general manager, and only recently converted to an outside sales rep. And when I was talking to her, I was stunned because her whole mentality is about giving value, being thoughtful, finding unique ways to be useful, just to help people, knowing that in the long run, and hell, the short run for sure, she can grow her business. And she's doing this in a really unique market. And I'm loath to talk about unique markets because most markets, most people, most businesses, I hate to say it. Actually, I don't not hate to say it. It's the truth. They're not that different. However, I got to give her the nod here. She's selling down in Key West in these chains of islands that are off the coast of Florida, heading down to Cuba. And quite frankly, it is just a little bit different. I got to give her that. So we talk about that, how it is different, but you're going to love the way that she thinks about her goal of dominating the markets that she serves in South Florida. We talk about a really powerful concept that she describes as a three-dimensional view of the business. We talked about how she thinks about prospecting, even now when she recognizes she doesn't technically have to prospect that much, but how she always needs to be prospecting, even in these incredibly unique times that we are living in right now. So even just talking about my conversation with Jenn Morgan, I get excited. If I keep rolling here, I'm just going to spill all the insights and things that we talk about, which I sometimes do in these intros, which is stupid. So I won't do that. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Jenn Morgan of Overseas Lumber and Forest Tek. As always, thank you for listening. So Miss Jenn Morgan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
This is one of the ones that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I might have told you this the first time we met that we're going to go into a little bit, but I think I told you. I was like, you got to come on the show. You will
Absolutely.
come on the show. It's only a matter of time. We finally did it. Got a little pandemic sort of situation in the way. It wasn't in person, which would have been cooler, but it's great to see you. I appreciate you making time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
What was your entry point into the lumber and building material business?
I got a job at 20 years old at a little lumber yard in Key West, just out of necessity, just moved there and needed a job.
Okay.
I had worked for a construction company in the past as kind of an office manager type position. So I knew some basics, but not really too much.
Okay.
And ended up working up pretty fast there into purchasing and kind of assistant manager type job. And I was there for maybe 8 years, I think.
Okay.
And then ended up moving from Key West to outside of Erie, Pennsylvania, for a very stupid reason.
That's a natural transition.
Yeah. And what's funny about this, so I moved up there and planned on taking off about 6 months, which I'd never done before, and just having fun and experiencing seasons, which I had never experienced before.
Right.
And 84 Lumber was in this town, of course. They're, based up there.
Right.
And when I went into the 84 Lumber to apply for that job, this was in '05, I think.
Okay.
The manager, a young kid from somewhere in Ohio, he was like, we don't need any AR help here. Like all of our accounting gets done out of our corporate office. And I said, well, I'm not an accountant. I'm looking to sell lumber. I'm looking for a job, here. And the look on his face, it had never been done before. There was no female entry level, just lumber salesman for that company. And I swear it took 5 months of the ad still being in the paper and me still going back. And so he finally gave in and hired me. And of course, the first month there, I was selling things that they had never sold before out of this tiny little location, So, yeah, got tired of the winter, wanted to come back to South Florida. So I transferred to the Fort Lauderdale branch right after Hurricane Wilma that was cranking.
Yeah.
And I was just doing the entry level, manager trainee position there. And after a couple months of that, I said, salesmen here make a lot of money based on what I'm selling. And I wanted to make that move. And they said, no, you can't go from this to that. You'll never make it. You'll never survive, and wouldn't let me, and made me sign something saying there's a chance you're going to make no money. You have to, it was ridiculous. It was always no. And I just said, okay, fine. Give me that piece of paper. Yeah. And I think my first month there, I think I might've made $17,000 or something. They were paying me $9.42 an hour back there just as an MT. So that's the long, short story.
I thought it was really interesting, and I've been really thinking a lot about it since you first said it, but you were describing your experience as a general manager, running a store, doing a lot of sales, and really helping people when they're coming in to buy A, B, and C. You have the experience to know that, well, they're going to need D and E, and 30% of the time you're going to need F. So I need to ask this question. Right. And you described it as having a quote unquote 3D view of the business, which I thought was just fantastic because my father-in-law owned an architecture firm for a long time. And he had this gift of looking at a 2-dimensional set of drawings, and you could just see this thing, you could see it pop up to him, and he could describe it in a way. Now, I believe that's a skill that can be learned. And over time I did, building homes and doing a lot of takeoffs. But I also think part of that is just innate. And I think part of sales and that experience, there's a part of just having a gift with that. When you think of the 3D view of the business, what do you mean by that? And maybe give us an example of how you use that to kind of help your customers.
It's not just about helping the customers. It's more my coworkers. It's everybody. Okay. It's after doing purchasing for so many years, after, when you lose a yard manager and all of a sudden you're yard manager and you're outside loading the trucks, unloading the trucks. It's about when that contractor buys 45 sheets of plywood on a huge project that he's going to need a ton more, and 46 come to a unit. Don't sell 45. Don't ask them to cut those bands, reband it. That's 20 minutes out of their day. It's about knowing that the crane truck can go 23 feet. So if it's the second floor and they're trying to put it on the roof, it's just knowing what your equipment can do, knowing what your people can do, knowing what you are and aren't capable of, and just making everyone's life easier. Knowing if it's going to the roof, hey, cut that unit in half, or split that pallet of concrete into 2 pallets. Because if you try to extend out too far, it's going to make a mess and spray oil everywhere. It's just I don't know. There's just so many different little things that I've learned from doing so many different things, and just making everyone's life easier. That's what I try to do.
I think these are sorts of things that it might begin as something that's more operationally based of, hey, understanding, the units and measures and, what constitutes a bunk. But then it also goes to sales and how we sell it. How might you coach someone to get a little bit more educated if they are in sales when they're selling things and they're like, hey, the guy came in and asked for 45 sheets. What do you want me to do? Tell him, no, you don't need 45 sheets? Or how might you coach them to either ask questions or think a little bit differently if they say, well, hey, Jen, I hear you, but guess what? I've been in sales for 3 years and I'm trying to improve. I haven't run a store. So I don't know what I don't know. It's just, if the guy's building a 150 square foot little deck, you can't
ask them to take 5 more boards. But if they're building a whole house, you just got to get that feel for it. And I think time is the only thing that can teach you that. You don't even ask, can I sell you a full bunk? Or say it, if they order 200 2x4, say, well, there's 208 a unit. You're going to need more, right? I'll just give you the unit. It's assuming it, make people confident that you know what you're doing and just go ahead and say, hey, well, obviously you're going to need more. Like, let's just, how I put it too a lot of times? I say that's such a nice, square, clean unit. I'll get you a fresh new unit. And people go, oh yeah, I got to have that fresh new unit. You make them feel like they're getting something and they're always going to say yes to that extra sheet or those extra 10 boards. Oh, a fresh unit? Yeah. It's just, you make people think that they're getting what they want. You make them feel warm and fuzzy and that's all people want in any business.
It proves that you know the details of your business. And sometimes I think we get a ton of product knowledge on very specific things on this, 10-foot, tall, 20-foot wide slider door that costs whatever, 50 grand. And then we're like, hey, how do the 2x6s get unloaded in here? What are the details there? Because your guys working out back in the yard, they're going to deal a lot more with the decisions you make on the 2x6s than they are, on that incredible door outlooking the ocean.
No, you're right. It just comes in time. You just have to, and you have to want to care. You have to want to learn that stuff. I mean, a salesman, I think everybody should work every position. I think any new salesman, I'd put him in the yard for a month. I'd have him loading the trucks. If you have to cut those bands and take those 2 75-pound sheets of 3/4 pressure treated off and put them back and reband it, if you have to do that once or twice, what you're going to sell the next time? The whole damn unit. Yeah. I mean, it's doing it. It's putting your mind in it. It's giving a crap. You got to just get out there and.
Now, you've been in this role where you're coaching people, you're managing people, you're leading people. Surely you've had the situation where you're like, I'm not going to say this person doesn't care. However, the amount that he is currently caring is probably unsatisfactory. Can you coach people to care more? Is that something that you just have to model? No. What do you do in those situations?
Yeah. Just try to lead by example. I always say giving a crap is the only thing I can't teach. It's the only thing that you either have it or you don't. And you can excite people. Anybody can be trained and anybody can be taught things. But if you can get someone excited about it, and when you see that click, how many times I've walked out in the yard, we've sold, say, 16 bags of 80-pound concrete. And there was a pallet sitting there with 24 bags on it. Do you think someone brings a blank pallet up and puts 8 on it and then wraps up those 16? No, they lift 16 off the 24. Like, that's backbreaking. And you see something like that. And if you really pull somebody aside and teach them, hey, you could have just taken 8 off of that and then wrapped up that pallet and lifted half the amount of concrete. And when you see that click, and it's going to click, but sometimes you'll have a 30-year employee that's going to do that every time and risk a workers' comp claim and hurting their back. And it's just, it does take, it takes intelligence too. And we're not all blessed.
This is true. Now let's take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors. Like me, you are probably invested in the stock market in some way. Well, there was a time not too long ago when you had to call someone to learn the share price of, say, Amazon. You'd call up your broker and you'd say, hey, Tommy, tell me now, where's Amazon trading these days, huh? That Bezos guy seems pretty smart. He's getting into pharmacies. Bezos, dealing drugs. That's gotta be huge, right? It's gotta be. So Tom thinks it over and he points out that it is indeed a $1 trillion company, but you can still get it on the ground floor. 30 minutes later, he calls you back. So Bob, that's you. You're Bob. So Bob, here's the deal. I called in some favors for you. I know a guy who knows a guy who plays pickleball with Bezos' second cousin once removed on his stepmother's side. Anywho, Amazon share price for you, my friend, is $3,224.43. But you gotta act now, Bob. It's on the move. Are you in or out? Man or mouse, huh? Okay, 2 things here. Number 1, I apologize for the accent or accents. Number 2, does anyone still buy stocks this way? Maybe, but it's become so easy to see the price for yourself and so easy to purchase it yourself, you can buy a share of Amazon whenever you want. And as I record this, 1 share of Amazon is trading at $3,112.94, more than $10 cheaper than what Tom quoted you. Now, I have an E-Trade account. It's super simple, it's fast, and the fees are low. It saves me time and money, and it gives me confidence. So, is E-Trade our new sponsor? No, but I am a satisfied customer. So if you're listening, E-Trade, call me. No, E-Trade is not our newest sponsor, but Materials Exchange is. And Materials Exchange is the E-Trade of the LBM industry. Their interface is dead simple. The price transparency is immediate, and the fees are low. So quit relying on Tom or an index to tell you the price. You can see for yourself at materialsexchange.com. That is the word materials, the letter X, and the word change. Go to Materials Exchange now and register today. There's no fee to register, and you can see the price transparency for yourself. When you do register, and again, it's free, use the promo code BRADLEY, BRADLEY, and you can get your first trade free. So there's zero risk, and you can get real-time pricing transparency. It's just an email away. Materials Exchange is the LBM industry's answer to E-Trade. Materials Exchange is your digital marketplace for lumber and panels. I enjoyed our conversation here as we were talking about prospecting. And recently, we haven't launched it yet. We will soon. Wrote a 80-page book, small words, puts lots of pictures in there. We're writing it ideally for folks in our industry who do not read a lot. But hey, this is like a 20-minute read, maybe a little bit more than that. But the central tenet, if you will, is never, ever, ever stop prospecting. If times are good, look to get rid of the slow pay customers who are a pain in the neck, constantly with changes, who don't value what you do, all those things. And obviously, when times are lean, well, you know what to do. But as I've talked more about this and we're working with clients and we're talking about, okay, what does this mean to change our perspective of prospecting when it is, I've been calling it, fish in a barrel season. Every builder on earth is knocking on your door. And once every couple decades, this happens when the power shifts so far to the sellers that we are now playing defensive on all the people who want our time and attention.
And our material.
And your material, yes, right, at an unreasonable cost. And so I've had lots of people say, like, well, listen, the last thing I need right now is a prospecting book. It's the last thing I need is any help on prospecting because I can't service the customers I have. And I mentioned this to you. Well, go ahead. What was your thoughts as I was sharing my experience?
Everybody wants more customers. Everybody wants more business. And I think in this time specifically, it's the best time in the world to prospect. I mean, I've been just going crazy trying to find any new builders, any new leads, any new anything. And just, this is the time to grow. This is the time you can snatch someone away because they are either they're calling accidentally to look for something that, they haven't previously bought from you, but also there's just so much going on. There's so much out there. We're a small community. And I swear every day when I check the notice of commencement logs, there might be 20 new builders I've never heard of every day. It's just mind boggling. So I want all 20 of them to know who we are, where we are. My location I mostly sell out of is not on where US 1 is the one road through the Keys. Right. We're not on US 1. We're kind of set off the road. And because of local zoning crap, our sign is really hard to see. So people literally don't know who we are and where we are. I want to tell them who we are, where we are, what we do. Here's what we can help you with. We've stayed very smart with the purchasing, with the craziness in the past couple months, and bought, 5 truckloads of something when we normally buy 5 units. So I tell people, hey, I'm super stocked. I'm staying ahead of the price increases. Help me help you. Let me help you because I know you're having a hard time finding this stuff. I know you're new to the area. I want it. I want them all. I want all of them. Or I want all of them to know who we are so that they can buy from us.
So if someone's listening and they're thinking, well, I hear you saying that, Jen, and obviously you're ambitious, you're aggressive. Here's the deal. I got all these people calling me and I don't know which are the ones that are just calling that they're not going to be loyal in the future. So I don't even know if I want to take that call or if I want to take that meeting. How do you think about that and what advice might you have for them?
That's a tough question, actually, because I'm in a weird place with that currently. I never know if I should, start with a text, start with an email. I don't always have an email address. I can't always find the company online. So I can tell generally if it's a cell number, and I'll start with a text maybe. I don't like to start with a call because people are busy. A text you can either choose to ignore, or you can go, oh, wow, this girl, she knows about my job on Petronia Street and is asking if, what I need for it. She's actually done her homework. So sometimes I get an answer like, oh my God, you're awesome. I can't believe you know about that job. And yes, what's your email address? I'm going to send you a list right now. Or, there's people I've been beaten up on for a year and I've never heard back from them once, or I get a K every once in a while response. So I don't know. That's actually a tough, I'm not even sure if I answered the question, but I'm kind of in my head about that lately because it's a hard thing to get in with somebody new and they don't know who we are. Yeah. They don't know that I have 25 years experience doing this. They do think I'm just some quote, pesky salesman. It's a fine line between being a helpful person and a total pain in someone's ass. So yeah, I try to toe that line. Am I annoying? What do I have to lose though? I don't care if I text you 100 times. If I get one order out of you, I'm happy. But
yeah. It's interesting, and we've been hearing more and more that text has become a really central way to communicate on an ongoing basis with prospects as well as ongoing customers. Yeah. Just curious, what percentage of the communication you have a given day, if it's email, if it's phone, voice to voice, or a voicemail, or text, just curious, which one of those is most dominant? Is text most dominant for you?
It is getting there, yes.
It is.
It really is. It's crazy. It's either phone call or text. I do very little emailing with vendors. If I'm ordering stuff, everything's, I'm old school though. I want to pick up the phone. I want to pick up the phone and tell you what I need and tell you my PO number. I've always kind of fought technology a little bit. So I'm getting with the times, but my customers down here are not emailing me generally. They may email me the set of plans when the project's starting. So I have them, but it's almost all phone call or, a lot of guys on the site will make a list and just text a picture of the list. It's a lot of text. I'm really getting on with that because if they're busy, they don't have to answer me right now. It's an impersonal way to get you right now. And I know that you saw it and I know that you read it. And we're really shifting to that down here for sure.
How do you maintain an optimistic mindset? You seem to me like a person, and tell me if this is inaccurate, who has kind of that sales mentality, which is, I'm going to draw that line. Hopefully I'm going to feel it out with you between persistence and annoyance. And I realize that it's going to take a while to break through, and that's okay because I'm in it for the long term and I'm not going to stop until I can help you. Or you literally tell me to, you're going to get a 100%. Restraining order. How do you stay?
I call myself a stalker sometimes. Right. I try these ice breaking. I'm a jokester. I'm always cracking a joke, and I'll literally say, hey, it's your stalker again. I saw your project on Eaton Street. I know you need lumber. Hello. So I do try to make light of it. But it's okay. Sorry. What was the question?
I was about to tell you to shut up. I got to finish my question. No, that's great. Well, you know me, and that's my style is that, hey, we're doing this. We might as well try to have fun. Yeah. I'm going to add in humor, and I might add in that humor, and I will lay it around the fact of what is reality. I've left 9 messages for you. That's all right. I'm in it till 50. When I hit 50, I'm going to stop, and my hope is someone's either A, not listening. At that point, at least I'm entertaining myself. Yeah. Or they're listening, being like, all right, it's possible this Hartman character will really continue to call. Yeah, maybe I should call this guy back. And then they're like, why don't I just head this off at the pass, right? Yeah. But my question for you is, when you do have these ones where you continue and you continue, you're fighting, you're being persistent, how do you maintain a positive mindset that doesn't have you saying, oh, forget it. You know what? These a-holes, right? This is what they always do. These builders, they think they're so good. They don't need to respond. And I know they're reading it. I know they're getting my text, right?
That one I can answer easy. I keep a very positive outlook because I have a product and a service and a knowledge that they need. And I know that I do. I bring a level of service and knowledge that no one else in this market has. I can confidently say that. And that's a big thing to be able to say.
I've been hearing this more recently as I've been telling people, like, now is the time. Your competition, their number one customer just called you and asked for a meeting, and you guys are kind of dragging your feet because you don't know if you can service them. No. And I said, we got to take advantage of this. And people are like, well, you know what? We have our loyal customers and they have their loyal customers. And that's, that's cool. That's how we prefer to play. I get the sense you do not share that mindset, nor do I. How might you encourage someone to think differently about that whole mindset? Yeah.
I'm patient. I sit and I wait. I know that eventually And sometimes some people call me with the really hard to get special stuff that they know they're going to mess up, but they get the 2x4s and the plywood from them all day. But I'll take the specials. I'll take whatever I can get as I can get it. And I know that once I get them, I got them. That's all I can confidently. So it's worth it. And it's almost fun for me. I love sending a text to a guy that I know he's got to think, God, I should just call her. But out of habit, it's hard to break habit. People go where they know where the 2x4s are. That's
right.
Their truck automatically goes there every morning. They load up what they need. They think that since we're 30 miles away, I didn't want to bother you. It was just 100 2x4s. I'm like, just 100 2x4s is $2,000 nowadays. Bother me. Like,
Right.
I'll bring it down to my own truck. I'll bring you 2 boards. Like, it's just persistent. You got to be persistent. You have to be confident. If you're confident in what you're selling, no matter what it is, you're going to sell it. And people are going to know that.
Go into that a little bit more. What does it mean to you when you say, I'll be patient. I'm fine. I'm here. I know in the long run, right? And I always tell people like, hey, that's fine. If it's not going to work out right now, there's no hard sell. I'm in it for the long term. And my guess is you are too. So
Absolutely.
At a certain point, our paths will cross. And if it's not now, that's fine, right?
Absolutely.
What does that mean for you when because you had this kind of mischievous smile on your face too, as you're like, I'll be patient. That's right.
Because
I'll hang out.
They're just dropping balls left and right. And I'm here to pick them up and help people.
Yeah.
It is a total, when I do finally get that guy that I've been, there's some people I maybe send a text to once a month. Kind of around the 10th of the month, I like to send out a little, hey, still me, still here. Just want to stay fresh in your mind. I saw your project on, I make them all personal. I don't ever send like a mass text. I hate that. Make people feel special. Put their name, let them know you're talking to them. So I know that eventually the ones that are going to come on board are going to come on board. And I just want to let them know I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. And if you do ever finally get tired of, who you've been dealing with forever, come on over and I got you.
Yeah, it's funny you said kind of this idea of, there'll be sooner or later your competition is going to drop a ball here or there. And I was talking to a colleague and he said, what we're really good at our company is we hang around the rim, kind of the basketball analogy about just don't assume the ball is going to go in. Just hang around there, look for a rebound. And he said, we will often, under this mantra of just hang around the rim, even when we hear we lost business, he's like, we don't leave. He's like, and oftentimes they're like, Jen, we locked up that contract last week. We're going with your competitor. And they're like, yeah, no, I know. Just want to check in. Is things going okay? 9 times out of 10, yes, a week or two afterwards, things are good and they're on their way. But he's like, it's not uncommon that something happens and it 100%. Unravels everything that was done. And he goes, that's us. We're just hanging around the rim. There was this proviso in the contract and it blew the whole thing up. We're back on the market. Yeah. And here you are. Here, I'm just standing right here.
Smiles, all smiles.
All smiles.
You know what, though? I'm also okay with being number 2 supplier. I don't need all your business. I'm not asking for all of it. I'm asking for you to call me when you need me. And I'm okay with being your alternate. Because I'm telling you, it's just, once you get them, I know that my drivers are the best. I know that our trucks are the best. Like in Key West, there's lots of little alleys and small streets. Yes, so our Moffett truck, we paid extra that we can unload the whole truck from one side, like the forks, like a lot of one-way streets. So I can unload an entire semi from not, having to move the truck. And then the wheels crab sideways. I can take 40-foot long material down a tiny little alley. Like we paid $80,000 or whatever it was extra for this machine just because. And the lumberyard in Key West doesn't even have that machine. So, once somebody sees that my machine, of course they're going to order from us. Like we're good stuff.
Yeah. We were talking about how sometimes we overcomplicate sales. And fundamentally, when you boil it all down, if I come at it, I'm just trying to help you and I'm asking questions and kind of having this, your 3-dimensional view of the business. And then a lot of this is based on trust. What are some of the ways you see people, whether they're managers or whether they're sales reps, what are some ways they kind of needlessly overcomplicate the sales process?
I know what I don't do to overcomplicate it. I just do what you say you're going to do. Be the best you can for people. Do what you say you're going to do. Show up when you say you're going to show up. And it is simple. I'm sorry. We're selling 2x4s and plywood. This is not, it's not complicated. It's not rocket science. It's really not. have the right product, be there, do what when you find out something's going to be 2 weeks late, call them right away and tell them it's going to be 2 weeks late. Don't wait till 2 weeks and 3 days and then they call you and say, hey, where's my stuff? Like, just be genuine, be true to yourself and true to your customers, and just give a shit. That's all you got to do. It's really so simple that we talked about this the other day. It's not hard. It's a simple, you have a product that they need and you can help them with their project and just care, help them think of solutions, help them think of better ways to do things and just stay on top of things. It's just, I don't know. I really think it is a very simple business.
I agree with you. You mentioned bad news there. Do you find yourself now sharing more bad news? And if so, how do you approach it?
I think by now people are pretty used to it, and we are very proactive. We tell people when they're quoting windows, it's going to be, we really add a couple weeks or a week to lead times. And we just tell people, look, I know what stage you're at. You're going to need windows in 14 weeks, and that's a 16-week lead time. Like, we need to get these ordered now. And just be proactive. When you order something, I got some timbers on order for a customer right now that I told him would be about 14 weeks. And at about the 8-week mark, I checked on it just to make sure. And I let them know, hey, I checked on this. It's still on track. And those little things go so far. Yeah. If somebody knows, hey, she's got my back, let people know you got their back. That's like the biggest. Yeah.
I just had this conversation on something. We got one set of shutters replaced in our house, and it feels like it's been 20 weeks. And I called, and she's like, I knew you were going to be calling soon. And I was like, Pam, it's fine. It's not a big deal. No one's dying. It's not a big deal. But if you knew I was going to
why didn't you just call me?
Why don't you just call me? Right. And I go, I would have been, thank you so much for thinking about me. Again, it's not life or death. Everything's cool. I understand the supply chain issues. Trust me, I do. But it's those sorts of things. Why are we waiting when we can just go and present that and be, really be thoughtful? And I think for folks that aren't now, we got to flip that switch right now. But I think that's another way to it's an easy way to differentiate yourself. Yeah. And if there's bad news, the windows are from 14 weeks to 18 weeks. I'd rather know that in week 8 than 14.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you even have a small inkling of, should I call this or should I do it? Right. Don't, God, I wish I would have. No, if your brain even says that in management, when I was a manager all the time, if somebody, I thought I maybe should have called you. Yeah, you should have. Like, if you think I should, yes, do it. Yes. If it comes into your mind, it's for a reason, follow up, make that call.
It's the universe's way of telling you, act on your intuition.
Intuition is there for a reason. Yes.
Yeah.
It really is. And the faster you learn that's another thing that's so simple. Like, why sit and say, and then the excuse of, I didn't want to bother you. You know what bothers me? Having this conversation right now because this happened because you didn't bother me. That bothers me. It's,
Gotcha. Well, hey, I enjoyed talking to you. I think what really impressed me from the very first meeting, if I'm at a dealer, if I own a company and I want someone in sales, I want someone like you who knows how to talk to people, who knows how to make it fun, but you can also tell is also a little bit, and I mean this in the nicest sense, is a little bit of a killer. Like, I'm going to wait it out in a long enough timeline. That's what I would say. On a long enough timeline, you and I will work together. If it's 10 years, that's fine. If it's 15 years, that's fine. I'll wait it out. I got nothing to do. Yep. What advice might you have for some other, maybe younger people who are selling and they're saying, it's just this really weird time where I don't want to overcommit to people and I don't want to bring on new customers. And I've just had people saying, like, I just need to wait this out. This is your life. Don't wait anything out. What advice might you give them? Just a little bit of your mindset to kind of help them as we round out this episode.
You got to be hungry. You have to want more. I want to make all the money. I want all the business. I don't know. You be hungry, want it, or don't be in this business. Like, don't half-ass it. Show that you care and differentiate yourself, whether it just be, anything to just set yourself apart, make people pay attention to you. And if you do, they will.
Yeah. That's reminds me of that old Steve Martin quote, which is, be so good they cannot ignore you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I sincerely look forward to, hopefully not too long, whether it's in the Keys or any other place, Looking forward to getting together, having a drink with you. Really appreciate you making time. And I sincerely, I know how crazy things are just in general, but also in your market. So it means a lot to me that you made some time now. And I think a lot of people are going to get value from this.
Glad we finally did it. Good to see your face again.
Likewise. Thanks, Jen.
All right. Thank you.
So how did that go? I didn't oversell it, did I? Jenn Morgan, I love talking to her, and I loved re-listening and helping edit this episode as well. Hopefully it was worth your time and attention. Now listen, our goal here is to make this the best podcast you listen to. I'd love to hear your thoughts, ideas for future shows or potential guests, any maybe challenges you might be having with some of your customers, or hell, if there are things that I'm doing that make this podcast annoying that I can make it better, hey, I want to know that too. We're trying to get better any way we can. Don't hesitate to email me directly at bradley@behindyourbacksales.com. Again, bradley@behindyourbacksales.com. Feel free to link up with me on LinkedIn and connect on Instagram at behindyourbackceo. And if you found this episode with Jenn Morgan valuable, please share it with your network, especially some of the younger folks, not even younger folks. I was going to say younger folks who are just getting into sales that might be struggling a little bit with everything that's going on, or old pros who've been doing it a long time, because Jenn has a ton of knowledge to share there. Please share it with them. And then if you would, on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. Those mean more to us than you know. I want to thank our sponsors. You can learn more about Boise Cascade's engineered wood products and their innovative Sawtech technology by visiting bc.com/EWP. And what E-Trade is for the stock market, Materials Exchange is to the LBM industry. They make commodity pricing transparent, buying simple, and the fees are low. That is Materials Exchange. So we're going to close out like we always do. You, my friend, you are owed nothing. Deliver value first. Make it a great week.